Hey everybody, my name is Gareth Soloway and this is Metals on the Move. So in this episode, what I want to do is look at silver, not only the short-term silver chart, but the long-term silver chart, because there's some big bullish stuff showing up. We're also going to take a look at gold as well as copper. So join me over here. Let's step over into the trading pit here with our charts. And this is the daily chart of silver. Now, the first thing I do is I look at what this looks. Now, most people are going to be like, wow, this just looks like a bunch of slop, a bunch of choppy action. But interestingly enough, there's something developing right here that is actually bullish. And again, for those of you that don't know, the pattern formation is this is a bull flag, a move up and a sideways consolidation pattern. And what we can see is over time, you'll see that more often than not, that leads to a move up, right? Bull flag, like the name says, it means bull up. And sure enough, we see that move to the upside more oftentimes than not. Now, what you can see here is short term, we have that same sort of pattern, bullish consolidation. So again, the idea here is this is beginning to put in this sideways chop, essentially digesting this recent move, and you should see a move to the upside. Now, if we flip back to our charts here and we look at a few trend lines, I want to just show you guys a few things. So number one, we have a trend line in the near term here on silver that if you connect these recent highs, you can see this gives us a target price on this bullish pattern of consolidation. So in the very near term, you can see we have the bull move up, the sideways consolidation, which should yield a move into this level around $24 and change. Now, once it gets there, it's going to have to consolidate and try to break out. This is known as resistance, right? We're pivot topping it here, here, and here. Therefore, this would be expected to be resistance. Now, one of the key tidbits of technical analysis is that when you hit a level, the more you hit the level, the weaker the level becomes. So here you start the level, here it hits and it's very strong. Here it hits again and it's pretty strong. Here it hits and it probably will be a little bit weaker and maybe weak enough that after a small check back, we can break to the upside. Now, again, that's your short-term analysis. That's what I expect over the next 1 to 2, maybe 3 weeks or so. But what I want to do now is go to a bigger time frame, right? So what I want to do is flip over to my monthly chart. And again, we're going to bring up this monthly chart. In fact, we could probably go to the weekly to see this even better. All right, so if we go to the weekly chart, we can see going back to 2011 to 2012 when we had this mega bull run. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is that if you connect this high to these highs, you actually are right underneath that breakout point. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take this and we're going to draw a trend line in there from that high of $50 down to these recent levels right down here, and we're going to stretch it all the way through. Okay? And when we do that, what do we get? Well, very cleanly put, we get this pivot top to this top right here, to these tops right in here. And the thought process is this. If I'm correct and we are going to move up to that $24 level, that's going to bring us back to this area here, this trend line of resistance. Knowing how when a trend line gets hit more and more, the concept is that it's going to be relatively weak resistance here, and eventually we see a breakout in 2024. If that breakout occurs like I expect, you're now breaking out of a major trend line going back to 2011, and this could start the next epic bull run that most silver investors are hoping for. And the idea is that you could see this thing rocket up over the next few years. And again, it probably won't be within a year, but within the next few years, you could find yourself back to double top high pivot on silver all the way over here. That's pretty remarkable in my opinion. Okay, let's quickly touch base on gold here. I do want to just take a look at gold. We're only going to look at the short term of gold. You'll have to tune back in to a future episode of Metals on the Move for a longer term picture on gold. But suffice it to say, you just had this beautiful monster move up in gold. You're now, what kind of pattern is this, guys? So again, we know our bullish patterns are like up moves, sideways consolidation, up move, sideways consolidation. This means that probability-wise, you're favoring at some point. You may chop a little bit more like this, but at some point you're going to go to the upside. My thought process based on the technicals is that by year end 2023, we tag the all-time high, that triple quadruple top on gold, and in 2024, we should break through it. Now, the last thing I want to bring up is the chart of copper. Copper, all right, does not quite look as good. Okay, so let me bring that up right now. Let's bring it up on the charts. And what we could see on copper here is that on the chart of copper, you have had a recent bounce. And again, this is the daily chart. So we've started to trend back to a wedge pattern that we broke down from. Now, this is where it gets interesting, guys, because I'm not bullish on all metals. In particular, I'm bullish on gold the most, silver second, and again, once silver breaks out of that longer-term pattern, then very bullish on that, even matching gold. But copper here, this is a very important chart to analyze. If we look at this, we see this pivot low here, matching through here and here and here, right? And here, down. So you had a wedge pattern. This is called a wedge pattern. It's a wedge, basically. It's a triangle. You broke below that right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually zoom in on the chart so we can see that breakdown. Now, when you break down out of a wedge pattern, there's a tendency for price to move back towards the wedge pattern, which is now resistance. So we broke down. We are now making our way back. But look, this is going to be epic resistance. And the concept here is that while it's rallying, and think about the narrative here, the narrative is the Fed is done and the economy can have a soft landing or no landing at all. That's why you're seeing copper, which is a very much industrial metal. It runs and goes higher on global growth. It's been rallying back. But this is going to run into epic resistance right here. And my guess is at some point we're going to start our next leg down in copper to the downside, which will be when that narrative adjusts from soft landing or no landing to a bigger recession that could last a while. So again, copper coming into resistance between 375 and 380. Look for it to turn back down. Gold and silver both making bullish patterns and moving back to the upside. All right, taking it back center, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Metals on the Move. My name is Gareth Soloway from InTheMoneyStocks.com and VerifiedInvesting.com. And again, thank you for tuning in. I'll be back soon.